Welcome to your first tutorial, your first exercise. This is going to be making a simple motion tween. Just as a side note, you will notice that on D2L there's a step-by-step file that is pretty much what I'm going to be doing here in these video tutorials. You should be watching the videos as well as using that file to get you through these exercises. As the semester moves forward, sometimes I have just the step-by-step, sometimes I have the videos as well. Most of the time I will have both, but just note that when you look at your sort of week 1, week 2, etc. Sheet. So what we're going to be doing here is doing kind of the most basic thing you can do in Flash in relation to animation, and it's called making a motion tween. Now, I'm going to go through the files, the part 1s and part 2 of this particular file, just as you would. The good thing I think about the video is you can sort of use the step-by-step thing in conjunction with it. Pause my video, do what you need to do with your file to make sure you're sort of doing what it is I'm doing. Okay, so let's head into this. The first thing we're going to do is sort of look at the creating of the graphic portion of this, and it says open Flash. We've already done that. Number 2, it says when Flash opens, it will give you a screen. That screen is going to look similar to this new document. So again, we're going to be choosing that ActionScript 3.0 file. Okay. It goes on there to step 4 at the top where there are various menu items. It says choose Insert New Symbol. So I'm going to go to Insert New Symbol. Now, a symbol is basically what sort of the elements that can make up a potential Flash animated movie. There are 3 different types of symbols, and you can see those symbols as we move through here. First is a movie clip, a button, and a graphic. We want to choose graphic. Okay, graphic is the most simple symbol that can sort of live in your library. For the most part, these are flat graphics that, in this case, we're doing green ball that we're going to animate. Okay, buttons, the sort of second type, has to do with interactivity. You can almost think of a button like a link on a website, something that basically will react to whatever it is you're doing. Movie clip we're going to get into in a couple weeks. This is basically having an animated element over there in your library. It's a symbol that has a timeline and has something going on in it. Okay, we're going to be doing an exercise later where we have sort of a man in the library as a movie clip doing a jumping jack. We're going to be doing it with a bird flying, and you'll sort of see why, especially when we get to this bird video, that is a useful thing to have a movie clip. For now, let's stick to this graphic. Okay, so it says step 5, name the symbol, green ball. Okay, and I want you to sort of notice, and this is step 7, you will leave the stage at this point and enter the library where we create the graphic. I want you to watch this white background as I hit OK. It looks like it gets bigger, and it doesn't really get bigger. We just basically went to another location. Okay, over here on the left, you'll see scene 1, and then you'll see green ball. This is telling us that we're actually inside the library. Okay. If I zoom out, and I don't know if you can tell I'm zooming out, you'll see that this is sort of a giant white space. It is not that, which is the stage. Strangely, they look very, very similar, but the stage obviously here has some kind of boundaries to it. Okay, I'm going to go back to the green ball. This is basically, we're inside the library, and we are, I consider this sort of like a sketch pad. This is where we're going to make our green ball. Okay, now, it says click on the stroke color and the white and choose the white box and red stripe. Then it says click on the fill color and choose a shade of green. The way this screen capturing software works, I have my window sort of much smaller than my computer screen, so I have to sort of, I'm going to go down here and I have to open this window up in order to see my stroke and fill color. It's down here and it's a little difficult to show you. Let's see here. Okay, in order to, I had to pause the video there for a second. In order to show you this via the screen capture, I actually had to close my tool box up here, and you will see the stroke and fill color that I'm referring to, and they look like this. Again, this is just a quirk of the screen capturing program. I can't scroll down that far, but this is your stroke color, and this is your fill color. When you draw an object, and we're going to be drawing this green ball, it has sort of two elements it's going to draw. It's going to draw the ball, sort of solid portion of it, and then it also is going to draw what's called a stroke color. This is a very common theme that you'll see in Illustrator, sort of two different colors. We don't want a stroke color. If I were to sort of choose a stroke color and then draw something, you'll see, okay, and I'm going to zoom in on that, you'll see that it draws what's called the stroke and the fill. Okay, we don't want, see here, we don't want a stroke color in this sense, and you'll see also that they sort of separate those. A lot of people get annoyed with that stroke and fill color. So back to my step-by-step here. It says click on the stroke color box and choose the white box with the red stripe through it. What this indicates is that there will be no stroke color. Okay, and then it says for the fill color, choose a shade of green. Okay, so that's what those sort of two steps, they're sort of setting ourselves up for this drawing. Now, it says choose the oval tool in the toolbox. So I'm going to do that. Okay, and then it says click and hold and draw a circle. You can make a perfect circle by holding down Shift on the keyboard. So I'm going to hold down Shift on the keyboard, and you'll also note that there's a little kind of hash mark here in the middle. We want to sort of draw the green circle kind of near that center. What that does is it sort of allows you to, later in the semester when we do tweens that have paths to them, it sort of knows where to orient from. It basically says this is the center of that symbol. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect, but sort of pop that guy right in the middle if you can. Okay. So remember, I'm inside the library. Here's my green ball. If I pop over, and this is where after step 11 says use the selection tool and select the circle you have drawn by clicking on it and position it in the center. We've done that. And then it says we're heading into sort of creating the tween. So over here it says we need to click on the scene 1 in the top left. So here is scene 1, here is green ball. We're inside green ball. When I go to scene 1, I basically still have this blank, this blank canvas. There's nothing on it yet. I've simply just drawn green ball as a sort of symbol over in the library. Okay. If you want to go back to a symbol, change it, do anything, you can just double click on that symbol. Okay. You'll see me naming everything and being as organized as I can. This is very, very important to the semester in general, is to keep things organized. You don't want tons of unnamed symbols over here. It'll drive you crazy once you get into more complex movies. Okay. Now, it says click on the scene 1. We did that. Take the graphic from the library called green ball and drop it onto the stage bottom left. Okay. So we're going to actually put this into our movie now. So I'm going to click, hold, and I'm going to drop that guy. Okay. You'll see this kind of blue bounding box. That's basically happens when you put a symbol inside of an actual timeline. Okay. Now, this is where the timeline gets important. You'll note, and it's a little difficult to see, you should be able to see it on your computer pretty easily, that there's a little circle inside that first frame. Okay. This is a very important concept that the whole rest of the semester is pretty much based on, and this is called a keyframe. Okay, a keyframe is a frame where we basically, I like to describe it as something is so. Okay, at that moment, something is defined at that moment. So we're defining that at this moment, the green ball is right there. Okay. You can probably think ahead and note that we're later going to say this is going to be so, meaning that the green ball is going to be in a particular locale up here later in the timeline. Okay, so step 3 says move up to frame 60 in the timeline and click on that frame. Okay, so I'm going to click on that frame. Then it says choose insert timeline frame. Okay, Okay, and all we've done is basically extend out this thing, this green ball is basically taking up 60 frames now. Okay, prior to that, and I'm going to undo this. Right? Prior to that, this was only taking up 1 frame. Okay, if we played this movie, it would simply play 1 frame over and over again, which would basically look like nothing. The green ball would just sort of always be in the same spot. Okay, I'm going to go up here. I'm just redoing this. Step 4, choose insert timeline frame. Okay. Then it says choose any frame between frame 1 and 60 in the timeline, and click on that frame. Okay. So we just need to basically click anywhere in between. Okay. And we need to insert a motion tween. Okay. So that's step 6. Now you'll see that turned blue. When that turned blue, it indicates that that is a motion tween. Okay, so we still don't have anything going on yet. We simply have the sort of elements set up, but we haven't done anything yet. Then it says click directly on frame 60. Okay, and with the black selection or the selection tool, which is the arrow here, it says grab the green ball and move it to the top right of the stage. Okay, it is very, very important that we're on this frame 60 at that moment. Okay, I'm going to come back here and click on that frame 60, and I'm going to move the green ball up here. Okay, you'll note this is what's called the path appears, and it's basically denoting where it's going from point A to point B. Okay, now up here at the top, you'll see a little diamond kind of appear on that last frame. That's different from this keyframe. This is what's called a tween frame, or this sort of indicates another location. Okay, so now we have stated that it is so here, okay, and that it needs to go to here. Okay, that's happening over 60 frames, so it's about a little over 2 seconds, and we've created our first tween. Okay, now before we test this and sort of see that it's working or not, we need to save this file. So I'm going to go to File, Save As. And Save As is just like anything else, like Microsoft Word. When we save as, we're sort of saving for the first time. So it says name your file, your first name, last name, underscore, motion tween. Now, we don't want to put .fla down there. You'll see sort of step 11, choose the Flash document from the format window below. We're just going to choose that Flash, and this is going to add the FLA to the end of it. So I'm going to save this, and I'll save this to desktop. Okay. When we test this movie, it's going to create what's called a SWIF of this file, and this is very, very important. So I'm going to go first off to Control, Test Movie, and we'll do this in Flash Professional. Okay, it pops up this file. Wherever you save your file, it creates what's called a SWIF, an SWF. This is a separate file. This is what all the files you're going to hand in. This is like the finished product. Okay, we have 2 different types of files. We have the .fla file. That's like your master Flash document that you can sort of do stuff in here with. You then have your SWIF file. When you test the movie, that SWIF file is created. Okay, so wherever you should have a folder for this class, obviously, on your computer or on a drive. This is where the SWIF is going to go. You are handing in SWIFs. You are not handing in your .fla files. Okay, so when you drop something in the Dropbox on D2L, it should say .SWIF. Okay, you'll note that I didn't at any point name anything a SWIF or save it or export it a particular way. This file is created just by testing the movie. Okay, so very basic movie, very basic animation, but introduced a lot of relevant topics. So we've done, at this point, hopefully, our motion tween. Next will be shape tween, and yeah, that is it for this one.